Hold on to your kids, Why Parents Need to Matter More Than Peers, by Gabor Mate and Gordon Neufeld. This summary is brought to you by Hook My Book. Peers are gradually replacing parents in the lives of children. This trend has negative consequences for the family unit, the school environment, and the youth culture. Parenting has changed over the years, and many adults do not feel natural in the role. Hold On to Your Kids is a book that will restore parenting to its natural intuitive basis and the parent-child relationship to its rightful preeminence. Many different factors contribute to the difficult parenting today, including the fact that our children are not the same as they used to be. They are less likely to take cues from adults, less afraid of getting into trouble, and less innocent and naive. They also seem less sophisticated, even jaded, before their time. They appear to be easily bored when away from each other or when not engaged with technology, and creative, the solitary play seems a vestige of the past. Many parents are frustrated because they love their children as much as ever, but the love doesn't always get through. We struggle to live up to our image of what parenting ought to be like, and when our impotence becomes unbearable we reach for simplistic, authoritarian formulas that reflect the do-it-yourself/quick-fix ethos of our era. The author talks about the importance of a context for parenting, which is why parenting skills or even loving the child are not enough. A child needs to be actively attached to an adult to be receptive to being parented, and this attachment relationship needs to last as long as the child needs to be parented. If a child's attachment relationship to parents is not getting the support required from culture and society, the parenting skills and love in the world are not going to be enough to make the attachment work. Even parent-child relationships that at the beginning are powerful and fully nurturing can become undermined as our children move out into a world that no longer appreciates or reinforces the attachment bond. Peer culture. Peer orientation is when children orient themselves towards their peers more than adults. It has caused children to lose their parental instincts and have less of an understanding of what is good for them. Peer orientation is the way things are in our society today. It is the norm, and it is what we have become used to. But peer orientation is not healthy, natural, or normal. It is something that has recently come about as a counter-revolution against the natural order. It is foreign to indigenous societies and even in many places in the Western world outside the globalized urban centers. It is a process that is potentially corrosive to civilized society. And it is something that children are generating their own culture, very distinct from that of their parents and, in some ways, also very alien. Peer orientation is a social trend that has replaced the parents as the primary socializers and role models for their children. This trend has negative consequences, such as increased rates of delinquency and early childbearing, and parents must take measures to counteract these effects. Parents can do a lot to help their children by grounding their parenting in a relationship with them, intuitively. This means not relying on techniques or manuals, but rather acting from understanding and empathy. Attachment. Attachment is the force of attraction that pulls two bodies towards each other. It is the most powerful force in the universe and is responsible for the instinctual behavior of children and adults. Attachment is important for child development and adults too, as it is necessary for the survival of infants and emotional stability in adulthood. Closely related to the orienting instinct, attachment is crucial to our survival. It helps us orient ourselves in space and time, psychologically and physically. In its most concrete and physical form, attachment involves attaching to a compass point, like a parent or teacher, to keep from getting lost. When we are attached to someone, we become less fearful of getting lost. However, this attachment can be fickle, leading to children being lost without realizing it. The child's attachment to those around them is polarized, meaning that there are two poles at the same time. This is what is called the bipolarity of attachment. Under normal circumstances, this bipolarity serves the purpose of keeping the child close to the nurturing adults. However, when attachment instincts become misdirected, the bipolarity of attachment can become a negative pole, which manifests itself in several ways. One way is the rejection of what was formerly held close, upon the appearance of a new, more highly valued relationship. In today's world, children tend to quickly transfer their attachments from adults to other children. This is because our society does not provide the necessary social context for healthy psychological growth. We have lost the normal attachment bonds between children and adults, which in turn has led to the fragmentation of the social fabric in which children can develop properly. Traditional cultures rely on strong, interconnected relationships between parents and children, usually starting very early in life. In modern, industrialized societies, this is not always the case. For example, due to changes in employment, children are placed more frequently with other children, without the involvement of adults. This often leads to children lacking deep, consistent attachment relationships, which can have negative consequences down the road, such as difficulty forming healthy friendships, difficulty in school, and difficulty functioning well in adult life. There is a lack of collective consciousness surrounding the importance of attachment in modern society, and this has led to difficulties in implementing solutions. The nuclear family is said to be the basic unit of society, but is under pressure from divorce rates and attachment voids. Divorce creates competing attachments and attachment voids in children, which can lead to problems such as school problems and aggression. Studies on children of divorce find them more susceptible to these problems. Parenting today is difficult because of the stresses of modern life, among other reasons. Parental power. The secret to being a good parent is to have a strong attachment relationship with your child. Children are born completely dependent on others for everything, and that's why parenting is necessary in the first place. If our children didn't need us, we wouldn't need the power to parent. At first glance, the dependence of children seems straightforward, but there is a glitch. Being dependent doesn't guarantee dependence on the appropriate caregivers. Every child is born in need of nurturing, but after infancy and toddlerhood, not all children necessarily look to their parents to provide it. Our power to parent rests not in how dependent our child is, but in how much our child depends specifically on us. The power to execute our parental responsibilities lies not in the neediness of our children, but in their looking to us to be the answer to their needs. We can't truly take care of a child who doesn't count on us to be taken care of, or who depends on us only for food, clothing, shelter, and other material concerns. We can't emotionally support a child who is not leaning on us for his psychological needs. It's frustrating to direct a child who does not welcome our guidance, irksome and self-defeating to assist one who is not seeking our help. A parent needs to have strong attention span to be able to get their child's attention. When a child's attachment is strong, it is easier to get their attention. If a child's attachment is weak, it will be harder to get their attention. Why do children become disobedient? Counterwill is the instinctive response of children to being forced or pushed around. It manifests in many ways, including the rebellious "no" of a toddler, the "you aren't my boss" of a young child, balkiness when hurried, disobedience or defiance, seen in the body language of the adolescent, and communicated through negativity, belligerence, or argumentativeness. In many children driven by counterwill, we may observe a fascination with transgressing taboos and adopting antisocial attitudes. Children who are peer-oriented resist expectations from parents because they do not feel connected to them. If parents are replaced by peers, the child's instinct to defy those outside their attachment circle becomes entrenched. Expectations are now a source of pressure. To be told what to do is to feel pushed around. To obey is to feel as if one has capitulated. Even relatively mature adults may react that way, let alone the developing child. To give a command to a preschooler with whom one does not have a relationship is to invite being defied or, at best, being ignored. The little one does not incline to obey someone with whom he does not feel connected. It simply does not feel right to do the bidding of strangers, those outside the child's circle of attachments. When someone experiences insufficient power, they may look for leverage to accomplish the task at hand. Parental efforts to gain leverage generally take two forms, bribery or coercion. If a simple direction such as, "I'd like you to set the table," doesn't work, we may add an incentive. For example, if you set the table for me, I'll let you have your favorite dessert. Or if it isn't enough to remind the child that it is time to do homework, we may threaten to withdraw some privilege. Or we may add a coercive tone to our voice or assume a more authoritarian demeanor. The leverage search is never-ending, and when we have exhausted all other options, we resort to coercion. Collecting our children. The goal of this first step is to attract the child's attention and make them smile. With infants, our intentions are usually blatantly evident. We contort ourselves to get the desired effect. As children get older, our intentions should be less obvious so that we don't alienate them. We need to build routines of collecting our children into our daily lives. In addition to that, it is especially important to reconnect with them after any sort of emotional separation. The sense of connection may be broken, say, after a fight or argument, whether by distancing, misunderstanding, or anger. The next step is that to engage a child's attachment instincts, we must offer them something to attach to. The author is discussing the importance of connection in a relationship. He argues that meeting a child's needs on demand, for example, paying attention to them constantly, does not build a strong connection because it is not a spontaneous act. She recommends offering things that the child enjoys, for example, playing together, and making jokes, and letting the child come to you rather than trying to seek them out. Preserve the ties. When inviting a baby to depend on us, we are inviting the baby to trust us and rely on us. When inviting an older child to depend on us, we are conveying to the child that she can trust us, count on us, and lean on us. The author talks about how children instinctively orient themselves towards their working compass point, or attachment figure, and how this process is important for developing a strong attachment bond. The author discusses how we lose this instinct as we grow older, and how this can lead to difficulty orienting children to their surroundings. The author also points out that peer orientation has contributed to the loss of confidence many adults feel in their ability to guide children. Preserving the relationship between a parent and child is the highest priority. Parents should make the relationship the priority when they are faced with a problem with their child. When parents are conscious of their attachment to their child, they will be able to communicate their values in a way that is not hurtful to the child. The 7 Principles of Natural Discipline. 1. Use connection, not separation, to bring a child into line. 2. When problems occur, work the relationship, not the incident. 3. When things aren't working for the child, draw out the tears instead of trying to teach a lesson. 4. Solicit good intentions instead of demanding good behavior. 5. Draw out the mixed feelings instead of trying to stop impulsive behavior. 6. When dealing with an impulsive child, try scripting the desired behavior instead of demanding maturity. 7. When unable to change the child, try changing the child's world. Finally, whatever our children's main form of attaching, our primary goal is to help them stay connected enough to us so there is no need for them to replace us. End of the summary. Thanks for listening.